this next segment is going to infuriate me. John and I might not make it through this. I can't believe we're going to talk about this again. As if quiet quitting wasn't enough.
Such bullshit.
Like the media is out of control.
Who is making this?
They are out of control. They are completely out of control.
Sitting there.
Do the reveal.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about it on today's Not So Critical update. The story is from, I think it's from CNBC.
Quiet hiring.
About how quiet hiring is the next big trend to dominate.
Who is sitting in these fucking rooms? Who is sitting in these rooms and saying, quiet quitting, look at the trends. Quiet quitting is down. Let's keep this up.
Quiet
and then
hiring.
Some fucking dude.
Quiet firing.
Like, wait, people quit, but people get hot. What about quiet hiring, you guys? And everyone claps and hands that guy flowers and a medal. And it's like, I am so fucking done with putting blame and bullshit on the employee. Again, this is now we're talking about. Now we're talking. So what is quiet hiring? Let's break it down. Quiet hiring is...
Break it down.
So the idea is basically it's talking about how if an organization needs new capabilities, but they don't want to hire a new full-time employee, they could either use contractors or retrain or reallocate existing resources into those new jobs. Sounds like a great deal. Good bargain.
Why does that need a term?
So here's what this sounds like to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I read this wrong, but this sounds like quiet hiring equals let's take advantage of our employees at their current pay rate so we don't have to hire any people.
Yeah, one of the examples they gave was exactly that.
Oh, can I read it?
Go on. Yeah.
Okay. On, so quiet hiring is all about the third. So hiring falls into three categories: backfilling roles, creating new roles, or addressing an immediate need. Quiet hiring is all about the third category, even if it doesn't technically involve new hiring. The idea is to prioritize the most critical functions to get people in those roles. She cites a recent example of Australian Airlines Qantas, which asked executives to address a labor shortage last year in part by rotating in as baggage handlers. The executives are doing it in part because it's the right thing to do to keep the company going.
No.
But also,
no, they're not.
It's just a rotation that makes sense for a lot of people.
Yeah. I
unless you're an executive at an airline being asked to go throw bags around on the tarmac.
Okay, so one, I doubt that the executives did this, and maybe two, went for a day. That's my guess.
Yeah.
And Peter, whatever you find, if it's like all of them went, they're still doing it right now. Actually, we have 5 of them out on the tarmac. Like, I'm not going to believe it.
There's two sides to this. One is it's a hard, critical, underpaid job that's really important, and companies should value it more and pay people what they deserve and need to do that job. The other is these executives are not going to be like, okay, cool. Let me, going down to do this job is going to be such a boon for my career. I really am going to, put this on my resume and promote this. Like everything about this.
My LinkedIn network is going to love this.
I guess if you post a photograph of yourself holding a bag with the big headphones on, like, oh, here, look at me cosplaying a real worker.
Five paragraphs about how it connected you. Like, it's not happening. And like Peter said at the beginning, we don't need a fucking label for this.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It's another non-issue that is being created. It's the same thing as quiet quitting, and quiet quitting at least had a little bit of meat to the bone, tiny bit, but like, dude, what is going on? And then what was the other one? Quiet firing. And it's like they're just trying to keep these things on people's plates for no reason. It's not happening. It's like they want us to worry for no reason.
Yeah. So as Qantas were asking up to 100 volunteers, not just executives, but from anybody in the company, to do some days a week baggage handling. That's it. And they laid off about 100 people. Yeah, it's volunteer, and it's not on top of their current job. It's just So I think it's a real thing. But I mean, it doesn't say actually. That's what the thing was kind of looking at. But,
if anything would make me quiet quit, it would be being recruited for quiet hiring.
No,
hey, we've got this great opportunity for you. Why don't you do your normal job, and on top of that, do this whole other person's job?
Well, no, this isn't on top of it. It's just So it's not meant to replace. They were clear about that. But so that's
of course it's no, but of course it's not. Of course it's not meant to be replaced. This is a volunteer thing. Look, you're really helping us out. Yeah. Have a pizza.
And the work that I was doing is just not necessary. Why was I doing that?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
If I was getting paid executive salary and all I had to do was like 8 hours a day, throw around some suitcases.
Don't minimize it, but sure.
I also wouldn't minimize it. I'm saying, but I know what you're saying. If anyone would be able to do this then, right? Like, and no one would have a problem doing this as long as they're physically capable. The reason you don't want to be fucking out on the tarmac in negative 20 Celsius or 35 Celsius, whatever, is because you're manually throwing these fucking suitcases all day. That's terrible.
But even just
you're
think
getting paid
about
250K.
Yeah, it's just think about retail. Like some guy sitting at a cash register in a convenience store. Why is that only worth $12 an hour or whatever? Like that's a huge convenience for me. 24 hours a day, I can go get any candy bar that I want.
Sure.
Because that guy's on call 24/7 for me to have access to that. Mike, like is that valuable to society or not? If it's not, then don't do it. Okay, fair enough. But
it's not valuable, Mike. It's because anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. And that's the excuse, right? Is anyone can do this job, so we shouldn't pay them much for it. And it's the same. I was just thinking this before, like 4 minutes ago, about the labor pay. Like people out there on the fucking road working construction and getting paid ass. Or any one example of whatever you want to consider as labor. They're not getting paid well. Like, or they're getting paid well, but they're fucking risking their lives or their health to do it.
Yeah, that's not even getting into like teachers and healthcare workers. Jesus.
Right. No.
Key workers.
Yeah, exactly. The key workers that kept COVID from actually crumbling the world were getting ass. And then people are blaming them for not wanting to work during COVID.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, hold on. I can make more money getting unemployment from the government from these payouts than going and standing outside of out of a fucking store trying to get people to come inside. Like, I'm gonna go on unemployment.
In the UK, that's all like come to a massive head over Christmas, where like literally everybody was striking.
Striking.
So there was the largest strike of medical workers in history, I think. There was strikes from the post office and from the train workers and from the baggage handlers and from like everybody was striking because like especially in the case of the NHS. Nurses were getting a pay cut effectively. They were offered 2% pay rise, which is bullshit after having no pay rise for several years and the cost of living going up by like 11%, which is ridiculous.
Meanwhile, here, Biden forced Congress to pass a law making the rail workers strike illegal and forcing them back to work.
Yeah, that was proposed by the UK government as well, by the way.
Did that have any impact? What came of those protests, Peter?
It's still ongoing. They're still striking, and it's causing massive problems. Yeah, they're negotiating. The Rishi Sunak, the current prime minister, I don't know if he will be by the time this airs, but he's made some promises about how he plans to sort it out. But it's just whatever. Let's not do political stuff too much.
Capitalism is so fucked. Our priorities are so backwards. It's not worth it for me to pay that guy to be at the store, but God forbid he's not there when I want to go get my fucking candy bar. I will let hell rain down on this also underpaid manager who doesn't give a fuck. Like I have conversations with business owners. A guy like that I used to do a lot of work with became very unhappy with me because he was complaining about how nobody wants to work anymore. I said, well, pay your people more than $12 an hour. He said, well, then I would go out of business. Like, great. Then you don't have a fucking business to begin with.
Yeah. That's the whole point. Like, it's a bad business if you can't afford to pay people. Like, it shouldn't work.
What do you want?
I had an old boss tell me how much they made and how much I cost.
Oh, fuck off.
And basically like trying to justify their pay to me.
You should be fired, owner. You are terrible at this. Like, why do I work for you?
And I was like, and basically they're saying that they're basically struggling. And they weren't struggling. They were in the six figures. And because if you are struggling at six figures, something's wrong. Something's wrong. No matter what, something is wrong. You've made mistakes if you're struggling at six figures. Whatever those mistakes.
It depends on where you live, but there are. I hear you.
Even if we just call it a blank $100,000, like you should be living fine. You should not be struggling.
You should be, but if you live in Silicon Valley or LA or New York or
nope. Coming from the fact that I have lived in one of those places you're going
to get some pushback on that.
You should be good, unless you want to live in downtown San Francisco. Sure, rent's going to be high. But like move out, then that's a mistake. You've made a mistake living. That's what I'm saying, right? It's all about your decisions. Anyway, and they use this number to try to justify.
It's a good amount of money, but I don't know, maybe doing a bit of minimizing.
Okay, so would you say that like $15 an hour is better in the same area?
All I'm saying
right?
is there are absolutely people struggling on $15 an hour, and it's not the same level, but. Just because $15 isn't enough doesn't mean $100 is enough. Like none of this should even be an issue. The entire system is corrupt and broken. Like whether I'm making, nobody should be making less than probably $80,000.
True. If we look at the cost of living and cost of real estate graph and how it climbed versus the average pay, but that's not what I'm saying, right? Let's not go off track here. What we're saying
just think the baseline
business
is off.
Owners, some business owners should not be owning a business. That's the truth.
Oh, that's 100% true.
Yeah. Especially when we see things like you're grossly underpaying your store clerk because you are not making enough. You shouldn't own a fucking store then. Like that's the truth. Bottom line.
And there's no reason a store needs to be open 24/7 on the off chance that
you get one.
I never understood that.
I
never understood why shops are open 24/7 because it doesn't seem like a good calculation. Do they actually earn enough money in those off hours? Like,
so imagine. Okay, I imagine that the morning rush and maybe the late night snackers combined makes it worth to pay some poor dude $12 an hour to sit at the register.
And there are like shift workers that are in the middle of the night or super early morning, like the occasional truck driver. So like, I don't know I don't know. Most of the time, probably not.
I don't know.
I've seen firsthand some fucking bullshit tactics by business owners. I've been told back in my early youngin' days when I was working as a sales rep in a jewelry store. I was asked by the business owner, it's been a bad day. Go outside and try to get customers.
Ooh, that's tough.
Go stand outside the door and invite people in. And I'm like, okay. So I went outside and I smoked a couple of cigarettes. Like, that's not happening. You think I'm recruiting business for you now? Like, no, they need to come in here if you want me to try to even sell them anything. Don't get me started on sales. Holy shit, what a fucked industry. But that was a long time ago. That was a different me. Very young.
So yeah, last week.
Lost. I just said it like you lost week.
I told you this article was going to get us going. So
yeah, you were right. Anything with quiet, get the fuck out of here.
Shut it.